I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. F it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Hey y'all, this is Ryan Monceau, and this is talking about them Cougars. That's Brad Towns. He's in charge of comments tonight. Brad is also on the clock. Today's payday. Brad hasn't been paid. And so we're going to make sure that he does a good enough job on the comments and on the questions that he gets a paycheck. Otherwise, Merry Christmas to me.
I'm going to eat, I'd have to eat a
put it
cardboard
on a
box.
Star Pizza account.
I'd have to eat a cardboard box of Star Pizza.
Yep.
Although it'd probably be pretty delicious.
Star Pizza. This is the chef special. I saw it the other night when I was at Star. Ricotta, marinara, honey, salted butter, cup and char, those great little pepperonis that come up. The regular pepperoni, the link sausage on special puffy dough. That dough is fried. It is apparently an amazing pizza. I'm never going to eat it, but Brad likes it.
It's fantastic.
I like the Maryland. Go with the Maryland.
Fill you up. It will fill you up. I mean, it's not that big. It's maybe not that big.
Okay.
But dude, 2 pieces for me gets me full, and that's saying a lot because I'm not a small kid.
Not a small boy. So before we get to Slade Nagle, there are some rules. So portal guys are the same as recruits. Coaches can only talk about them once they're signed. So U of H has, I believe, 7 signed offensive transfer portal guys. That's who we can talk about tonight. So we're only going to ask about those guys. And if, there's other stuff on social media, if they're not signed, we can't talk about it with him. Well, we could ask, but he's not going to be able to talk about it. So we're going to focus on the guys that they have and move forward with that. Sound good? All right. Here he is, Slade Nagle, Lake Charles icon, now an Iowa icon. Slade, how you doing tonight?
Good, Ryan. Doing good. How are you?
That's Brad. He's the other guy.
Welcome, Coach.
Brad, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
Good.
So you've been here officially about 10 days. What's it been? What have you been doing?
Well, kind of learning the lay of the land, I guess you would say. I was here for a couple days and then had to travel back to Baton Rouge and clean up some loose ends on exiting there. And, I've been back here and just trying to watch as much film as possible, learn the roster, learn who we were as an offense last year, and then, working on portal guys and kind of recruiting. That's kind of been the main focus here the last 4 or 5 days.
When you talk about learning what this team was in offense, what have you learned?
I think there's a good core group of guys that are here. There were some good things obviously last year, and for whatever reason maybe not enough. But I think when you start looking at the roster and the core group of guys that are here and are really bought into what coach is selling and what the staff is selling, it gets you excited. I think obviously we've had some portal additions, but bringing a Zion Chris back and having some guys in the wideout room and and having a Jayden York who's got experience at Treville Frederick in the tight end room, and I think the running back room is very solid. So I'm looking forward to it. I haven't had the opportunity to meet all these guys in person because by the time I got here, a lot of them were gone with the semester being over. But it's been fun.
Okay. So I asked you at your presser why you were interested in coming here. But why did Willie seek you out? Why are you the guy?
Well, I think obviously we worked together before, and I had the privilege of working for Coach for 8 years and and really helping him and learning from him, and we were able to build a program there at Tulane and kind of take it from the bottom and really get it pretty good, pretty close to the top. And I just think I have the utmost respect for Coach, and a ton of confidence in his ability to lead a program and and get things turned around and going in the right direction. So I think the fit from a familiarity standpoint is good, and I think I understand how Coach wants to run a program and win football games, and I think it's going to be a good match.
Okay. The last year you've been at LSU, what have you learned in that time that's going to help you in this job?
We were a heavy pass offense, and look, everything starts from who are the players, right? And
right.
You build your offense and how you're going to have success, and we were built there with a pro style pocket quarterback who could process and really make all the throws, and we were fortunate enough to have a really good offensive line and some good skill players and an excellent tight end. So we threw the ball a lot. I learned some things in the pass game that I think will carry over and mesh well with some of the things we did at Tulane, and just a couple things from an operational standpoint. Last year was the first year you could use the headset for the quarterback, so I think that was good, and learning a couple different ways that we use to check plays and so on and so forth. So I think all those things will carry over and hopefully help our offense be more complete.
You mentioned the headset. You also had the tablets on the sideline and in the box. Did you use those a lot with your tight end special teams?
We did. We did. You used to come home after the game and, you'd watch it on your laptop or iPad or whatnot. And, and you go, gosh, I can't believe I missed that. But, now you watch it in between series and it's like you've watched the game 3 times before you ever get home after the game, So it's really a huge asset. I think the players like it a lot. It's able to provide them instant feedback on what happened and moving forward, kind of, how a defense is trying to attack you or whatnot. So I think it's a real plus for college football.
Okay. Brad?
What kind of offense are you going to bring here to U of H? I assume the assumption is it's going to be a lot like what you ran at Tulane, but I say coming up through the different steps in your career, do you kind of just develop your own offense and kind of your little wish book that you want to implement yourself?
Yeah, I think there's bits and pieces you take from every system you've ever worked in, and some are even systems that you played in. And I think, look, I've said this a lot. I think first and foremost, I think it's important that we're going to build the offense around the players. And, I just think that if you come in and you say, we're going to do this, this, and this, and it doesn't fit the personnel that's here, I don't think that's the right direction to go. So we're going to build it around the players and what they do well and try and accent their strengths. But, a few of the core principles are we have to find a way to be explosive. We've got to create explosive plays, whether that's on the ground, whether that's through the air, whatever it may be. But we have to create explosive plays. We've got to be good on third down, and we've got to be good in the red zone. And, I think in today's football, I think it's important to be able to change the tempos and not let a defense or a defensive coordinator get comfortable. And you have to be multiple. You've got to be multiple to the point that, you can attack defenses in a bunch of different ways, but also, not so complicated that your own players can't play fast and execute things. So first and foremost, that's what we're going to do. We're going to figure out what these guys do good, what they feel comfortable with, and then we're going to, we'll build our system around that. I mean, obviously we have a core nuts and bolts of how we're going to operate, but the specifics and what we hang our hat on will be tailored towards these guys and who we're going to go to battle with.
When you talk about the core nuts and bolts, what would those be? Is that going to be like kind of based on formation being more of a spread out offense, or is it more just your direct philosophy?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, it starts with we're going to be a physical offense regardless of what we run.
Right.
We're going to be an 11 and 12 personnel team, and we're going to be multiple formationally. I like to move the tight end around and change pictures before the snap, whether that's, lining up in 12 personnel, but being in 11 personnel and 10 personnel pictures, or having 11 personnel guys out there and creating some 12 personnel pictures and plays. I just think it's with the defenses today and as advanced as they are, you've got to be multiple, and you've got to keep those guys off balance and give them a bunch of moving parts and window dressings and all those kind of things. But we're gonna establish. We always want to establish some form of physical play and run game, and then from there it's, hey, how can we create explosive plays? Because look, the days of 12, 14 play drives over and over and over, those you just don't see them much anymore. You have to find a way to create explosive plays and move the ball down the field, at a quick pace per se.
Right. It seemed there for a while it was pretty much like what we ran here at U of H for forever. You had a wide open air raid where we were throwing it, 50, 60 times a game. And then the game kind of transitioned a little bit more to an RPO type look. Where do you see the game at currently right now? Because to me, it looks like most of the offenses line up pretty similar, and there's not a lot of wild offenses outside of what's going on with the service academies.
Yeah, I think a lot of it centers around where defenses are, and I think
Right.
the more spread and drop back pass and air raid per se you saw, the more drop 8 and 3 safety defenses and all those kind of things you see. So, the defense is dictated a little bit from that aspect. I think when you look at football today, it's, people are trying to figure out, how do you run the football, get easy completions for the quarterback, and then also protect the quarterback without dropping back the pass 50 times a game,
Right.
So that comes down to RPOs, that comes down to moving the pocket, that comes down to play action pass, all those kind of things. And then while you're doing that, like I've said several times, how do you create explosives and, progress the ball down the field at a rapid rate, whether that's throwing the ball down the field for 15, 20 plus yards, or that's getting the ball in the hands of guys who can catch and carry and create those plays, or running the football with that. So I think, that's just kind of the cat and mouse game that goes with college football. And as the offenses progress one way, the defenses try to catch up.
Right.
When the defenses catch up, then the offenses try to catch up and change, so it kind of goes back and forth.
Right. I think you've made a lot of people happy hearing that, getting back to the more explosive type offenses that we're normally used to seeing, because you can still take time off the clock and score.
Yeah. If you're efficient, you can. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
The last time we talked to you was before Connor Wegman signed. Why was he the guy you wanted to target, and what is he going to bring to this offense that we haven't seen?
We were super excited to get Connor. I think one of the most important things is Connor wants to be here,
Mm-hmm.
and I think anytime you find someone who this is where they want to be, I think they're able to put their best foot forward and be the best version of themselves. Look, he's extremely talented. He's got size. He's got a strong arm. He's got the ability to move good enough to create, and extend plays and create some things with his legs. He's super, super football intelligent. So, I think he's going to be a very good addition, to our program. And look, I think, talking to him and being around him a little bit, I think he's super competitive. And that's what we're looking for. And that's what he wants to do, is come in here and compete and help the players around him and help this group, this offensive group become better. So we're excited about that.
Okay. Brad, you wanted to ask about offensive linemen.
Yeah, it looks like you've got a nice haul with 4 from the portal, and you've also got 4 coming in as freshmen, right?
Correct. We've had good luck here with the portal recently. It was a position of need. Not only to have guys pushed to be starters, but also to build depth. And so that was something that. And look, they had Coach Fritz and Coach Nagavi and Coach Bell and everybody on the offensive staff had been attacking this prior to myself getting here as well. So, we've been pleased with it so far. I think, we've got 4 guys: Jason Brooks, Matthew Wyckoff, Kid Mackenzie Agnello from New Mexico, who we're excited about, and Dalton Merriman from Texas Tech. So we feel like those guys have all been battle tested per se. They've got college football experience, and I think we look forward to them to come in here and be ready to go pretty quickly. So we're excited about that.
It's good to hear. With the portal, it's tough to hang on to a team every single year. And one of the things that we've suffered in the past, here in the recent past, is a lot of defection of a lot of offensive linemen. We lost quite a lot in the last 4 years. Usually that's a position where a guy will come in and redshirt freshman year, and then get a little bit of playing time on special teams, and then start to evolve. And they usually don't really peak until their senior year. How are you going to be able to hold on to guys that long?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that's everybody's concern right now. With the way that college football world is going, there's so much movement from year to year. Look, offensive line is a developmental position. And it's probably the hardest position there is to come in as a freshman or a guy early on and play. Because not only from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint, there's a bunch of things that are asked of you. I think we're trying to figure it out like every other school in the country is right now. I think, look, at the end of the day, I think what you have to do is you have to build relationships, and show these guys that there is a plan for them, and the positives to, hey, sticking around somewhere and developing over a few year period rather than bouncing around, all the time, I think is important. And look, every guy's situation is different. So,
right.
For every guy that it should be a situation where you stick around and develop. Hey, there's another guy out there that maybe he's, maybe he's been somewhere 2 years and he's splitting time or whatnot and needs a change. So, all things in the portal are not negative, obviously, but I think the more you can get guys together and playing together and all that kind of stuff, the better off you are. So it'll be a challenge for us to do that this spring and really get to work, and these guys will have to commit and buy in, and we'll have to make up a little bit of time. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
How do you build relationship with these guys in this microwaved amount of time that you get from the time the portal opens until they commit and sign?
I don't necessarily know that you build the type of relationship that I'm talking about. I think
Right.
Once you get a guy in your program, I think the everyday interaction, the honesty, the laying out the plan in front of them, why are we doing this? How are you getting better? Putting those things in front of them, so they can see their self improving. I think those relationships really grow and really bond over time. The guys in the portal, you do the best you can, and you learn as much as you can about them. Some of these guys, some of our coaches had prior relationships with as well, because maybe in past recruiting battles and stuff like that. So, look, at the end of the day, guys are making decisions, and we're trying to put our best foot forward and show them why they should come to the University of Houston and help us win. And those guys, we've had a few jump on board, and they all seem like quality individuals. And that process will start in early January of really forming that bond and getting to know each other and locking arms and trying to build something positive over the next several months.
These 7 guys from the portal from offense that you've signed, did you have a prior relationship in recruiting with any of them?
I did with one, Harvey
Okay.
Broussard, receiver out of UL Lafayette. I knew from my days at Tulane when we recruited him some, so I had a little bit of a relationship with him. Amari Thomas, the wide receiver from UAB, I did not have a relationship with him, but I knew him as a player. Having
Okay.
played against him, he was a really good player. So, most of the O linemen have some type of Texas background, and that was important to them to come back home, or come closer to home per se, and have a chance to compete. So I think that was a key factor with most of those guys. And like I said, some of our other coaches, Coach Nagavi, Coach Bell, they had some relationships with some of these guys as well already.
Yeah. How many more guys on the offense do you expect to take in this first portal window?
I think we'll take a few more. I think we'll take a few more. We're looking at a couple guys at the tight end position, which is, and look, we want to make sure we take the right guys, because we feel like we have a couple guys in there that can compete and help us win, and we want to take guys that will come in and fit, and really help us grow and get stronger. I think sometimes, it all sounds great, but if you take the wrong guys, it really affects you, more negatively than
Right.
anything. So, I think we'll compete to try and bring a couple guys in, a couple more guys, and see where things go.
You said you were excited about Agnello, the kid from New Mexico. What is it about his game that gets you excited and made you interested in him?
Well, I think you see him play with a physical presence. He loves to play. The other thing that excites you about him is he has some position flex. He played center. He can play guard. They used him as a tight end in some short yardage situations sometimes. So I think that's always good. Look, anytime you don't just get pinned down to one position, and you have the ability to be versatile and add a little flex at different positions in the offensive line, it's a huge asset, because as we all know, it's a long football season, and lineups change a little bit just based off of bumps and bruises and nicks and all that kind of stuff, and I think your value goes up tremendously when you can do that. And a couple of these other guys have played a couple positions too. So.
Okay. Do you expect to be on the field or up in the box during games?
I don't know. We haven't decided that yet. We'll talk. A lot of that will just kind of be based off of the staff and how things fit the best and those kind of things.
Where were you 2 years ago when you OC at Tulane?
I was in the box. Yeah.
Okay.
I was in the box.
All right. And you coached tight ends at Tulane for most of your time there. You're going to be the position coach for that this year?
Yeah. Right
Okay.
now, moving forward, Sean will coach the quarterbacks, and I'll coach the tight ends, and and as we progress into into the season and stuff, I'll spend some time with the quarterbacks as well. I think it's important. Anytime you're the play caller, I think it's important to make sure that there's direct interaction on some things and with the quarterback, and making sure that our brains are on the same wavelength and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Brad, you have anything else?
When spring comes up, it seems like we've got a lot of with all the new additions and new offense, new everything. It seems like it's going to be pretty much wide open. Is that kind of the philosophy going into that you're setting up position battles all across the board?
Yeah, I think so. Look, this is we're competing in a sport that is what have you done for me lately? That's coaches, players, everybody.
Yeah.
So I think every day when we step on the grass that you're competing, and look, depth charts can constantly change, and I think that's healthy for a football team. Especially healthy for our offenses. Hey, when I know I have to go out there and compete every day, there's no better motivation than competition, right? And we'll always have that. We will, and it's you hear coaches talk about it all the time. How do you stay consistent? How do you win week after week? And it's eliminating complacency. And I think competition is one natural thing that does that. So we're looking forward to it, and hopefully I feel like we're building some depth at most of these positions that'll naturally happen.
Yep. That's all I
All
got.
right. Well, Slade,
All
we
right.
appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining us for a little bit, and we'll see you down the road.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Y'all have a great evening.
Thank you. You
All
too.
right. That's Slade
All
Nagle, your new offensive coordinator. That was a good talk. I think he answered a lot of questions. We have more, but
Yeah.
we'll get to it.
Two-piece music to my ears. I think that's pretty much you speak for everyone here on that one, because you listen to that, you got to be pretty excited. You got to be really excited.
I mean, been here 10 days and revamped our offense already. And I think that's the thing that's most surprising is these 7 guys that you have in-house currently. There are more coming in. There's another that just committed while we were talking with him. There is a significant influx of talent. And it starts with your 5-star in high school quarterback. Some of those offensive linemen are legit. The Amari Thomas guy from UAB has had 2 good years. And Harvey Broussard, I think, is going to surprise some people. I mean, there's real talent that they've brought in. And you've got to feel pretty solid about what they're bringing in. But we're going to move on because my favorite guy in the program, who appears to be in his door jam, where are you
I'm
at?
outside. I'm outside. I'm on the patio.
Oh, okay. All right. Jayden York, tight end,
Yes, sir. How
going
we
into
doing?
his second year in the program. I'm great, Jayden. I made a mistake this week. I had an autocorrect. I called you Jordan. That's not who I think you are. My bad. I didn't mean to do that. But,
I think you did it on purpose.
well, that's also possible. You got rid of Manjack. You made him leave. And so I'm kind of blaming you for all the things that are happening.
It was all your jokes. All your jokes ran
Yeah,
away.
it's just I was mean to him, is what it was. And that's going to happen. He's
Well, if
soft.
everybody left because you were mean to them, then there'd be nobody left.
There'd
for
be
real.
nobody here. So let's go back into the year you just finished. Kind of a difficult year, especially for the offense. What did you learn, and what did you get better at?
Uh, I felt like what I got better at was how to talk to my teammates, how to when to step in and be a leader, and just mostly when I was needed, making myself useful when I was needed.
Okay.
I feel like there was flaws everywhere in the offense. One day, if the skill's doing good, it might be the O line. One day when the O line's doing good, the receivers aren't. They're getting clamped up, or a quarterback might make a bad read. Like it was always like just one person. Like it was always just like one thing that was off. Like from having like great plays, big plays, or like penalties was a big two. We had some penalties that always brought back a big play. Yeah. Um, and egos. I feel like egos got into the sideline a little bit, got into the offense a little bit, a little negative. So I mean,
When you say egos, what do you mean specifically?
just personality. True personalities come out when good things aren't happening. So
Right.
like people saying how they really feel, and then like just button heads like in a family. Like
Right.
when you're having issues, like yeah, everybody feels a certain type of way, and button heads, just stuff like that.
Okay.
It seems like with a lot of the stop and start that the offense had, um, it seems like it'd be really tough to keep everybody kind of dialed in and together on that. How were you able to kind of get through that, or is that just it just never really did? It just never really gelled.
I feel like we never got 100%. I feel
Right.
like most of us started to gel. Some of the older guys, like they just understood like playing for each other. Like at the end of the day, like I feel like we just never got 100%. But we'll never. Coach Fritz says this all the time. We'll never get 100%. But like 95, 90, that's all we need.
Right.
Where do you need to be better than you were this year?
Might be stronger, faster, um, catch everything. Hopefully this year I get utilized more in the pass game. I get split out. Um, I'm not just when number 13 goes in there, when running the ball. Like I hope that's not the case this year.
You caught that too, huh?
Yeah, I think a
Yeah.
lot of people caught that.
Okay.
Uh, uh, yeah, and just being a better leader, being consistent on that part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you gotten to talk to Slade Nagle? Have you met him? What do you think so far?
I've heard nothing but good things. Nothing but good things from literally everybody. But no, I have not talked to him actually. I
Okay.
actually have not spoken with him. This was my
He
first
says he
time meeting him
doesn't
this
want to
week.
use the tight ends. He's not
Hey,
interested.
we're gonna have a little talk then.
Okay. Well, he's got that tight end background, so I think you're going to be okay. But you're going through this will be a position coach change for you and an offensive coordinator.
hmm
This year you had that position coach as your offensive coordinator. What are the benefits to that and making this change? What are the potential benefits for that?
Potential benefits. I mean, we can all hope the plays
Throws
are
the ball
dialed
to
up for the
you.
tight
Yeah.
end. Yeah, like the ball goes to the tight end all the time. But like whatever works best for the offense. I'm not banking on my position coach being the OC saying I'm getting the ball now. Like I'm not leaning towards that. So it is what it is. I'm just if it plays work, I just want the plays to work. Yeah, and that takes us executing it too. So
Yeah.
Well, if everybody's going to run too deep on you, I mean, you should be wide open right up the middle.
that's what I'm saying.
Somebody feed the big man.
That's what I'm saying.
And he promises to catch it this time. Uh,
Hopefully, I'm not getting flipped as I'm catching it now.
yeah, no kidding. Uh, so the process of this portal process, you went through it a year ago. What's it like for the player making that decision to leave his teammates, leave his team, and go somewhere else? And then how do you build relationships quickly with the new staff?
Ugh. The feeling is worse. It's like you hate leaving home. Like
Hmm.
you're leaving everything you done built, all your friends. That's really the worst. All the people and relationships you're leaving behind. But going into a new place, it's just you want to be open. Try not to like necessarily look at the negative in anything at first. Um, Yeah, really just being open minded. I feel like I just sat back and listened to everything, took in everything that I was told, and just was really a observer for real, and felt like I was spoke up, what needed to be said when it needed to be said. Yeah, just being open minded.
When they're bringing guys in now, are you working to recruit them? Are you meeting with like other tight ends or other guys on the offense?
Yeah, I've actually had some tight ends in the portal reach out to me personally, ask
Okay.
me what's up. Yeah, I've met a few of the tight ends that's been on the visits, just walking around the facility. They
Okay.
normally, if Coach Stone's walking with them, he'll introduce them to me. Yeah, I
Okay.
try to keep it real with them.
That's good. Brad?
I mean, as long as you got to tell them the truth. You want them to know exactly what they're getting into.
Yeah.
I mean, that's next year. What do you hope to see? What do you hope to see out of the offense outside of
Throwing it to
feeding
you.
13?
Yeah.
I hope to see us looking like a full unit out there. Us looking like just straight dogs. Can't nobody mess with us. Like we look like a top 10 offense. I want us to look like that. We have all the pieces to be that. But we just need to hold each other accountable. That's accountability needs to go across the board from highest rank to lowest rank, from head coach to scout team player. Like everybody needs to be held accountable.
So
Um,
now coming into year two, how are you going to be able to help kind of influence that going forward?
well, first I just need to be consistent, keep doing what I'm doing, working hard, practicing hard, and then just leading by example. I'm not going to ask nobody to do nothing I'm not doing. Like,
Right.
There have been some talk about accountability issues this season. Does that, even if it's not directly affecting you, does that affect you as a player and as someone that came here looking for a better situation?
yeah, because my time is limited. I don't have time for that. We're bigger than that. Like that's something that should have been knocked out week one. Like I feel like
Yeah, everybody should be treated the same.
yeah,
And if you're not holding up your end, you got to go, frankly.
yeah, and we
Um,
got to address it. We got to be real with it. Like when if this is bad play, like as a unit, if this is bad play as a position, if this is bad play, we need to hold everybody to the same standard. If this is bad play, say it's bad play. Saying like, "Oh, this is good." No, that's not going to help nobody. I don't care if ended up being an explosive at the end of the play. If everybody's walking to the ball after the fact, nobody's blocking for the single man getting 15 yards on his own. Like that's not a good play as a unit. That's a good play for him.
yeah.
Right.
No, I agree with that 100%. Uh,
There was a there was a quote used here in the past that just because it worked didn't mean you did it right. So
Good
I
addition
mean,
there, Brad. You lost your boy Manjack. He went in the portal a week ago. On a personal level, is that difficult? I mean, you obviously knew it was coming. Uh, how do you deal with that?
It ain't nothing different. It's just like leaving my old friends, all my old roommates from Texas
Yeah.
Tech. I call them every day. I talk to them every day. Ain't nothing gonna be different. We're gonna talk to them every day.
Okay. I'm gonna miss that guy.
Hmm.
Do you know Dalton Merriman, the offensive lineman from Tech?
Yes, he came in my last year at Tech. I didn't really get to play next to him or nothing. He was recovering from an injury. I think it was a shoulder maybe. But
Okay.
yeah, no, I didn't get to play next to him or nothing. But yeah, he's good people,
Okay.
great person.
What about some of the other guys from Texas, Connor Wegman or Wyckoff or Jason Brooks, did you play against or with them at any point 7-on-7?
No.
Okay.
If I did, I didn't know it. Shoot, I'm just out
Okay.
there playing football.
All right. That's fair. I mean, who can say anything about that? Brad, you have anything else?
That's it.
That's it. All right, Jayden. That was pretty cool. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
All right, good to see you, man.
All right.
You
Thanks,
too.
Jayden. I like that guy.
Good people.
Yep. Good guy. He talked about some real things that fans don't see. The accountability is not always even. It's not always. You can have good coaches and they hold different people or different positions to a different level of accountability. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. And I think they got rid of, through attrition, through people leaving the portal, through graduation, they got rid of some people that didn't need to be here. And
It's everybody's going to find their level. If you're not enjoying yourself, you're going to leave. And a lot of times the guys who aren't enjoying themselves, they're a bigger hindrance than they are a help, regardless of what they're producing. You hate to see it, but I mean, that's just the way it is. And, you can't let it fester. When last year, when everybody was thrown together real quick, you're coming off a real rough year. You had a lot of people going out the door. You had a lot of people coming in the door. But nobody knew what to, well, I say nobody. There were a couple of guys who came in from Tulane who understood what the expectations were, how everything was going to work. So it was a learning process throughout the entire season of, how's everything how does everything work? Where does everybody fit? What are the expectations? And then you'll have guys. I mean, you got 115 people out there, 100 people on the roster. You're going to have guys that are going to try to push the limits. And, that's just the way it is. But now everybody who's here knows the expectations. They know, and they're going to be not only held accountable by no longer just by their position coach or their unit coach. They're going to be held accountable by their teammates. And that's good. He brought up a lot of stuff that we as fans saw, that it was always one thing or another. We never, at one point it's a missed block here. At this one point it's a route run in the wrong direction over here. It was a misread. I mean, it was just one after the other. And after the first couple of games, it wasn't the total volume of penalties. Excuse me. It's when they came. It's like, hey, you got a 40-yard gain. Nope, that's coming back.
a lot of special teams penalties, that a lot of hidden yards, plays on offense where you just lost big chunks. And yeah, you've got to be better at that. But you've got to be better at everything so that you can overcome things. I mean, that's going to happen. You've got to overcome it. And this team, you knew once that penalty came, you might as well send in 91 and punt it now, because
well, you got to make sure you run at least, a minute and a half off the clock for the next 3 plays.
Yeah. I did like Jayden calling out that if 13 came in the game, you knew it was coming.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course.
Yeah. I think other teams had signals for 13's in the game. Load that box. We're going to get to Martin Marroquin in just a minute. Let's look at some of these comments because they piled up because we went back to back there. How quickly you move on, Ryan? Well, here's the thing. Jayden was sitting there on our screens for almost the entire interview with Slade Nagle.
For like 15 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm not sure if they've communicated. I didn't want that to be the first time if we put him on screen. So I thought that was a little risky. Turns out they hadn't talked yet
Good call.
Yeah, that would have been awkward. But once Slade left, I really felt we had to get to Jayden, or he might just leave. I would. And so made sure that that is what happened. I like that York kept it real. He wasn't mincing words. He definitely did not. And that's why I like him, and I've liked being around him and interacting with him for a year, is because he tells you exactly what's on his mind. What else do we like? Welcome to Houston, Slade. Slade is a badass name. I think Duarte asked off camera when we met him, like, where did that name come from? And I don't know that he gave an answer. He just didn't know where his parents came up with it. Hope to have our offense again.
I
don't
have
know if
hope for our offense.
Our
again.
offense. Oh, did I read it wrong? Okay.
Yeah.
I fucked
Hey, I
that
know
up.
you haven't
It's on
slept
me.
hardly at all.
No, well, ever really in my life. Star Pizza right above Brad. You can see the logo. Get you some Star Pizza. Lunch specials starting tomorrow all week. You've got Tuesday and Friday the buffet. I went Thursday, had the Maryland. It's fantastic. I got the lunch special, the individual, and a drink.
Yeah,
$8.
I saw you put that on social media.
$8.
I couldn't believe you did that to those delicious ingredients.
What do you mean?
You're just pure cheese and onions.
I had pepperonis on there.
I didn't see them.
I might have eaten them all off before. But
Probably.
yeah. The cup and chard, those are so good.
Those things are
Yeah.
fantastic. I hadn't heard of those until here recently, and damn, those are fantastic.
Okay. I'm glad you can learn some stuff. The size alone on the O-line from these transfers are a world of difference. I think there's a verb
Height?
disagreement there.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, I didn't think they're
I mean,
huge.
everybody's. I'm more when he said that, when Coach said that the center from New Mexico also lined up in a tight end slot. You like to hear that. Not
Yeah, that's a little different.
Well, the reason why I like to hear that is one thing that we haven't had in a long time is our offensive linemen who could move well downfield, or offensive linemen who are quick to be able to get outside whenever they're pulling, because you see running backs tripping all over these slow guards.
Yeah.
And also with
Thankfully,
this guy's-
that wasn't a big issue last year. You didn't really need them downfield.
well, you could already get them
Covering
downfield.
punts, I guess.
Well, I mean, you might need them down there every once in a while if you can get if Sanford could get loose,
Yeah.
hide behind somebody long enough for people to fall down and he could run.
John clarifies, I was referring to moving on to York from the bromance with Man Jack or possibly Jack Martin. Jack Martin's dead to me. Man Jack, I still have a special spot for. He'll move on. He'll go somewhere else. That's fine. Star Pizza. There you go. The running backs, whoops, missed it. The running backs have to be super pumped, right? Yes. Getting better quarterback play and better offensive line play helps running backs all day.
Well, and I think the wide receivers have to. I think everybody has.
I think
to.
everybody is.
If the quarterback, if the offensive line takes a decent step forward, that's more consistent, then all of a sudden your holes open for running backs. Your quarterback has time to actually choose more than one person. So yeah, everybody's going to benefit. Everybody's going to benefit.
The new offensive line commitment from Alvin, I'm not going to try to say that, looks like big news. Brad, what is your breakdown of this Alvin guy?
I didn't
Oh, you
even-
don't have one. All right, so we'll bring in Martin Marroquin. to break that down. Martin, what have you watched? How much film have you watched on this guy? What do we need to know?
I actually pulled out the advanced scouting we did on Baylor a couple seasons ago. Alvin was actually the starting left tackle at the time. Also, hi guys.
Now that you're not getting that anywhere else. Hey, Martin, thank you for coming on.
Of course.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see y'all. So yeah, at the time Alvin was a redshirt freshman, and this was 7 games into the season. The notes that we had on him were length is his biggest asset, and its ability to push ends in their rush like further downfield. Now the physical length was an asset for him. He struggled a bit with running game technique, according to our notes, and he was the most penalized player at the time, along with another offensive lineman. But
he was Baylor's most penalized
at that point in the season. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
But he was listed at 6'6", 304 for Baylor.
Okay.
And even at 6'6", I think I just tried to take a quick glance at him right before when I saw he was signed, and I remember his arms being freakishly long. And watching again, I mean, length he's plentiful in that sense. And as far as the comment about the O-line being bigger, it's certainly longer, which I think is a big deal. Very important for, especially your outside guys, your tackles. Now, I'm not scoffing at the idea of signing him. This is great, good depth, Big 12 experience. He seemed to struggle this year, at least according to his PFF grades. He didn't play quite as much. Maybe there were some issues there with the coaching staff, and he decided after 4 games he was done. I don't know that for certain. It's just kind of a trend that seems to happen in with what college football is now. I would venture to guess, and not just in the manner of coach speak, but he'll be competing at least with David Ndukwe for a chance as the second starting tackle. I think Merriman is certainly the starting left tackle based on what I've seen. And David Ndukwe actually had a really good year individually. And I could very much see him playing the other tackle. Who they're comfortable with playing on what side, I don't know. Of course, these guys haven't even been on campus as confirmed students to have a conversation about where they're actually going to start. But at the very least, he's depth at the tackle position, and he's very good depth in terms of length.
Before Brad jumps in, this guy, he played in the first 4 games and then redshirted, or just played 4 games?
He played in the first 5 games, and then he only appeared in 2 more games the rest of the season.
Okay,
and
so he played in 7?
7 total.
Okay, so it's not like a redshirt situation, is what I was trying to get at. Okay.
No.
Brad, go ahead.
You could probably get a medical out of that.
We're the guy.
You can always get creative and come up with anything.
Hey, they did it with Case Keenum and invented an injury, sort of.
I don't.
Almost.
It's easy to assume that these guys are going to come in and most of your starters are going to come from this group, but who knows? That's the beautiful thing about competition, is that now there's guys who are going to be pushing each other, and if nothing else, we raise the floor. And so you don't know what is going to happen until these guys get out there and battle it, and you probably won't have defined positions until summertime, or at least defined from a depth chart goes.
Right. And to you guys, your point about I didn't catch Slade mentioning this, but I heard you guys say it about the New Mexico kid playing tight end. So they had goal line situations at New Mexico where they would line him up at tight end, specifically for these run plays, and it seemed to work for him because of his ability to move off the snap and his length and just how generally athletic he is. I didn't see him running any routes, but he comes off the ball really well, so he was getting to the defender quickly to move them for the sake of the play being successful. So it's an interesting.
That's a huge deal here.
Yeah.
So,
and his versatility, being able to play a guard position too, could turn out to be a big deal.
Yeah, and he played almost 300 snaps at right tackle, so he can play almost anywhere.
Then that's perfect. I mean,
but you see him as more of an interior guy.
I
probably
think
center.
Yeah, if I had to guess, he'd be the starting center because of how successful he's been playing it. Uh, he's got more experience than Pancake. He's bigger than Pancake. Um, and he might be more athletic. I mean, I would have to see them side by side, but I think in terms of athleticism to frame, I think he's a better athlete than Pancake. Um, yeah, I mean, I would guess today if I had to that he would be the starting center.
Well, let him compete.
Hey,
Every
I'm all for it.
spot needs to have competition. Your previous employer, that wasn't always the case, but going forward, you need to have the depth where let them fight. Let them fight in spring. Let them fight in summer. Fight the first 2 weeks of camp.
It's gonna make them better. And as we saw this year, you saw a lot of rotating going on in that offensive line, whether it is a ding here or somebody needing to be moved around. The way that, and also with the way that this portal crap works is it's going to take these guys 4 or 5 games to just get to know each other.
Yeah.
So what you see on opening day, you might see something completely different.
Sure.
By the time conference starts.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not pushing Pancake at the door yet or anything. Maybe he hears this and it motivates him and he tells me to go screw myself. But if I had to guess today, even being in uniform, yeah, I mean, he's a good player. So I think they're lucky to have him. And
now we're going to have, I think it's going to be really interesting to watch what happens at quarterback, because you got McMickle coming back. You got Chris coming back. He recommitted, which I was really happy to see the way he kind of jumped out there on social media and saying he's not quitting. He's coming back. Not leaving. And then you got Wegman in there. So you've got some, you'll have a battle. I'd like to see what comes of it.
I am contractually obligated to mention Austin Carlisle in this spot. Thank you.
That is true.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is you don't have to put pressure on him to come in and perform. You don't have to put
any pressure on him, none at all. He needs to come in and develop, and that's what they're going to do. That's the plan.
And you know what? If he came in and just blew everybody's doors off and he was undeniable, then you got something special.
Well, yes, clearly. The top guy focused on the portal on U of H guys has been Martin. He has been all over this from before the portal opened. And he was the first guy to come in with a really good piece on Connor Wegman. He wrote something today on the offensive lineman that I thought was really solid. Got more coming tomorrow. Martin, just kind of as an overview, who do you think stands out in the guys that have either signed with U of H or committed at this point?
We've already talked about Agnello. I think that's a really big signing. Harvey Broussard, though. I mentioned on Twitter, I remember my first season as an intern watching his high school film. I think it would have been his sophomore stuff at the time. And I was just like, man, it would be great if this kid ever came to Houston, but there's going to be no shot. He's going to play at LSU. And for whatever reason, his high school career just didn't pan out to where he went to a big-time school, despite having Penn State and Ole Miss and Arkansas, among others, as on his offer list. And, he's listed at 6'3". He's immediately the biggest receiver on the team after losing Manjack and Jonah Wilson. And I think that pairs very well with what Wegman does outside the numbers, assuming Wegman is a starting quarterback. Let those guys compete too. But Broussard provides something that the team didn't have, even as the roster was constructed last season. He's incredibly quick and explosive off the line of scrimmage at the snap. And he has a triple jump, high jump track background, and you can see it. He's very springy when going up to get the ball. He high points it. He snatches it out of the air. And he can push downfield. He's not just a big dude. He's explosive, and he averaged over 15 yards per target. So every time Louisiana was throwing him the ball, it was at least 15 yards downfield. and he averaged over 15 yards catch. And 4 of his 5 touchdowns in his career have come in the red zone. So again, any red zone issues that have occurred in the past, they might start drawing up stuff for him specifically to take a fade on the outside. Just win on, his one-on-ones, and I think he has the ability to do that. I think in the right offense, his numbers could explode. I'm incredibly excited about that signing, and that's not even just fanatical optimism. I think other teams were chomping at the bit to get him. It's big time.
Brad. Sorry, I just have to. I mean, GoCoogs is where you go for your recruiting information, and now GoCoogs is where you go for your portal information. Until somebody else steals Martin away from us.
Listen, I'll take it. This is my favorite time of the year. This is when I really missed him on the job. So, if I can keep doing it this way, then I love it.
Why is that? What is it that excites you about this?
Well, it's the whole reason I got into the business. The idea of watching football players for a living and telling coaches who they should or shouldn't go after. Not that they would listen. Maybe part of why I'm sitting here with you guys, but it's just fun. I have a pool of players that I get to thumb through and decide, whether or not I think they're good enough, and I literally get to watch their every play and pick on what it is they can do for the offense or what it is they can't do. I mean, it's like the most fun part of the job. It's not having to deal with the logistics of a visit and getting a kid to nutrition on time or getting them from the airport to whatever apartment complex he might be living in before dinner. I signed up to watch people play football, and that was the most fun part of the job.
Were you make these assessments, and I assume there's somebody else assessing them kind of at the same time or right after you. Mm-hmm. Are you fighting for or fighting against guys in that situation?
I'd never. Go ahead.
No, I'm gonna shut up.
There were certainly times where a player was presented that I didn't agree with somebody that we should be going after, but it was never so much to the point to where I was like standing on the table, literally or figuratively, to say we should not do this. But the more comfortable I got in the job, because while I was watching these kids in the portal, the position coaches are watching them as well, based on guys they've recruited, things they've been told by people they know. They know another position coach in those schools, like, hey, this kid's going to hit. He's going to be good for you, something to that effect. I'm going in there before I even discuss it with the DPP, the ADPP, TJ Randall.
You gotta explain that part.
So the director of player personnel, the guy in charge of recruiting and scouting.
Right.
ADPP, obviously the next guy in line for either offense or defense, was how it was structured at our time. And then I was the assistant director to the director of scouting, TJ Randall, but we had a good relationship. He trusted if I thought a guy was good enough to just go to the position coaches. So that's what I would do. I would watch them, and with how quickly things move, there's no time to decide if the coaches have time. I didn't care if they had time. I would just barge into wherever they were and say, hey, get this guy on your list. You need to watch him. And then I would just, I was hands off from there, because they would, once they made a decision, it didn't really matter how much I wanted to push them.
Right. Okay.
So do they give you marching orders of kind of what they want from out of particular positions, or they say they want to add, if you're looking for a receiver and you've got like Mekhi Muse is there already, and they say, okay, I want someone like that, but 4 inches taller. Are they giving you like specifics of what they're trying to look for, or they just say, hey, go find me somebody good?
More or less, it's the latter. It's just go find somebody.
Well, that tracks from the previous staff. I don't know. Just go find a player.
Yeah, it was more so about numbers. I think I'm going to assume that they just trusted. What's on the roster. What we're losing. So go find us something either similar to what we don't like are losing, something that you think is missing. The conversations were had, but for the most part, it was, we have these numbers, so we're looking for this many receivers. Let's say we have 3 numbers now for receivers. Go find 3 receivers. Excuse me. And so, it was more just so the structure of the offense and me knowing what the offense does and what it is that the coaches are going to be looking for. It also depended on how good of a relationship I had with the coach. The Keel Shorts trusted us to find him players. If we told him somebody was good enough, he would, of course, watch them with us, but he trusted that what he was going to see was something that was what he wanted. Some coaches, some position groups were just decided that they were going to handle it on their own, and that was fine, because then we could, further look at the other positions where we needed to help. But yeah, I mean, the way it was structured when I was working there, these programs exist now that schools have, and they do all this legwork for you. But I had a spreadsheet that somebody helped me make, and we were just filling it with all the names as kids entered the portal. And when we decided it was somebody worth watching, it spit them out on another page. And when we decided they were good enough to take to the coaches, it spit them out on another page. And we were just taking that list of the coaches and saying, here's what we found. Here's the 5 guys we think you need to watch. We'll be back when guys hit the portal and have more for you.
Now, when coaches are going through the recruiting process of high school kids and JUCO kids, whatnot, whether they come here or not, what are they doing with that information? Are they putting all that information into a database? Does everybody have files that you can consistently check year in, year out?
Yeah, so it depends on what they're deciding to use. Like currently I work for Catapult, and they're a high school database. And so we're reaching out to kids in high school to get their information for schools that pay for the service to then reach out to the kid based on the address he provides and coach information and stuff like that. And so let's say the linebacker coach was recruiting a kid, didn't work out. We ended up being number 2. We then have all that information. Like at the time, I don't know if they still use it, but we had a database called ARMS. And anytime we contacted a kid, anytime we had them on campus, like we kept track of those dates, how often we contacted them, like all that stuff, especially for the legality of the NCAA, making sure you're not violating the made-up rules. That was all tracked there. And so let's say linebacker who we wanted hits the portal, we are immediately contacting him, and we have all his information to refer back to.
Right. Okay, good.
Explain what you're doing for Catapult, because people that know Catapult know them as the wearable
The
monitor.
bras.
Yeah, the bra.
Yeah.
That tracks all the different data, your speed, But what are you doing for them? You're not a bra, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Not yet. I think that's my next promotion. But no, so for now, based on our database, I'm reaching out to kids whose information we do not have.
Okay.
There's a kid at a high school. We know that he plays football, but we don't have his address. We don't have his phone number. We don't have the things that schools would want when they go to look this kid up because they liked his film. So I'm sending out surveys to these kids to say, hey, I'm trying to help you get recruited. Fill out this survey. I can have your information available for these college coaches around the country. And on top of that, as I'm going through to get these kids information, I am also providing a base level scouting report on them. And then weekly, you guys might see it just because, it gets tweeted out. But we're finding 5 kids every week who we think are under-recruited to highlight and say, this kid got 0 offers, but I think he can play at this level. This kid's only got 2 offers. He should be offered by most schools and, at the P4 level. So kids that are slipping through the cracks, we're trying to help them get recruited by putting them, on that kind of highlight or just having their information available for schools when they go to look for them.
So these kids that you're contacting, they're sophomore, juniors. They're not seniors. They're younger.
Yeah, like right now we're kind of we're moving on to the 26s. Like they're the priority. So they would be juniors at the moment, getting their information available because coaches will start going to schools in the spring, high schools, and then these high school coaches will say, here's the guys that I have that you need to look at. The coaches will see for themselves, hey, I like this kid. He practices well or whatever. And they'll go back to, the guys in the scouting department at the school and say, get this kid's information, watch his film, let me know what his game stuff looks like because I like the way that he practices. And so, the 2026s are currently the priority because ideally the 2025s either have a home or they're going to go to college for the sake of being a student.
Okay. Brad, what else you got?
I don't know.
Okay. Slade Nagle, what do you think?
I like it.
I wasn't talking to you.
I caught a little bit of the interview. He seems like a nice guy. He's gonna have to hit the ground running, so this is obviously a chaotic time for him. But I mean, I think it'll be good. It's obvious that they're finding players to suit their needs as much as they are trying to fill holes. I don't think they're so much trying to make up for what wasn't there as much as they're just like, we know what we think a good player looks like, and we're trying to establish the baseline. This is at least how good we want a player to be when they're here. I don't look at it as like, we lost Manjack. You know, we need the Moneyball quote, we need to replace Manjack. Like,
Right.
I mean, that's just not what they're looking to do. They're looking to find guys that benefit their scheme and how they can move forward with not just this season and establishing that, but then when they go to recruit kids, they can say, watch this kid do what he does in our offense. That's what we want to get done, as opposed to square peg round hole with just what's left over.
Yeah. The thing that I am most encouraged by is the commitment to run an offense based on the guys you have. And that's not always been the case here. Usually they've tried to fit those guys into, okay, this is what I know how to do, and that's what we're going to do. It doesn't matter what you can do. And I hope that that is something that you see going forward and throughout the season as they'll have 9 months with these guys before the season, but you really don't learn anything real until they get on the field and play against somebody.
Yeah.
And so if they continually get better at that, that's the kind of thing I want to see. And it sounds like he gets it. And that's a very low baseline, but it's really where you have to start based on what you've seen in the past.
Well,
So-
yeah, and you also have a history. At least you know there's a level of success that he's had with it at least one time at Tulane.
Yeah.
So that gives you hope, and that was the only reason why it changed is because his head coach came here and he chose a different direction that time.
Yeah. Someone asked in the comments, why did he not come here a year ago? And his reply to that in our press conference the other day, that was Duarte and I, was that his dad, who is a legend in Louisiana coaching circles, was the head coach at Zachary and was retiring. He wanted to be around for that. So he took the job at LSU as tight ends coach and special teams coach. And I did not ask him about special teams. I meant to. As an offensive coordinator, he's probably not going to be involved, but I would have asked. So he took a job there and to be with his dad in his last year. And I assume that that'll be here now, watching a lot.
Did the whole thing freeze up, or was that just Ryan?
I think it was just me. Is what it looked like.
Hey Ben, I thought you had a stroke too.
Yeah, well, it's possible. How much better does the offense look already? I have no idea. I don't think anybody does. I think they're just trying to get talent in, and
on paper, sure, everything.
yeah. The thing is you're going to see guys wash out during or after spring ball.
But let's also remember, at this time last year, experts were writing about our quarterback being third-round draft pick worthy.
First round.
Yeah, it was first round.
It says, maybe he's maybe he will.
I'm gonna go on a limb and say probably not first round. Probably second day at best. But I don't know anything about the NFL draft, so why would you even ask me?
The point is we really don't have any clue of what's going on until you get all of them together, get them all on somewhat of a similar page, and let them play.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole other transfer portal window in the spring. In reference to Ryan's point about washing out, they might bring some guys in and lose some guys. I wouldn't count on any massive contributors at that time to come in because
Right.
it'll just be, guys trading depth washout for depth washout ideally. But yeah, I mean, you're not going to know what the team's going to look like until game one starts. I'm incredibly excited for it on paper. Just in the experience I brought on the O-line. I made the point in the article that between Pancake and Dukwe, I think one of the offensive linemen, I forget which one, had more experience on himself and snaps wise than the two of them. And then other than that, it was like less than 200 total snaps for guys returning on the offensive line. So they're bringing in something like 4,000 to 5,000 snaps of good football and starting experience. So it's a big deal. It's going to take some time. Like I said, all season last year, they could have brought in five stars who were going to be first round picks, and it was still going to take time because it's such a hard, position group to get together. They have to play together. But I think getting guys who are experienced to do that puts you on the faster track than guys you're hoping, are going to figure it out with you. So it's a good sign that they can even get them, to be completely honest, because it's probably the hardest position to acquire in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, just saw something come across and wondering what just happened.
Would you get some news?
Yeah, but I don't really know what it was. It was just a kind of a weird text or tweet. Excuse me. Ryan, any word on whether Tony Mathis will request another medical red shirt to try and come back? I believe that is the plan. I believe Mathis wants to come back, wants to try this one more year. There is room for him. Tony Mathis can do some things, I think, with a different offense. He didn't play last year, so you're going back 2 years. He could do some things in this offense. He can be a spark that the three freshmen turning into sophomores don't necessarily have, and could be something pretty good for you. Not gonna lie, I want that chef special from Star Pizza.
See, we've been selling it.
Yeah.
Skills.
He said.
Skills.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. This is sad. Currently at walk-ons in Webster, watching Creighton versus Penn State volleyball and Sunday night football. LOL. And also watching this show.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We truly do have a group of sickos who, we've hung out with you guys at 2 a.m.
Yeah. I had a couple of run-ins with people that watch our show over the last few days. I was at dinner the other night, and a woman, I was sitting down at the table, and she was like, Ryan?
Roy,
No,
is that
didn't.
you?
She did. But the second story gets to that. And it turns out she watches our show. She's retired. She actually was a superintendent of schools in Baytown at Goose Creek after I was there. And delightful woman named Barbara. And we talked for 7-8 minutes, just U of H and Galen. And she asked, do you ever leave the house? And I was like, probably not. But great. And then last night I was at a Christmas party, and an older woman came up to me, and she looked at me, and she's like, is your name Roy? But it turns out she doesn't watch this. She just thought that was my name. So apparently it's catching on.
You look like a Roy, huh?
Shut the... I believe this is to Martin regarding Harvey Broussard. Is he your prototypical X receiver, or can he line up in multiple spots?
I think I would keep him on the outside. He's got some natural fluidity at 6'3", that most guys his size don't really have. But with Boogie in place, with Amari Thomas, who they brought in, who is more likely to play, I think, on the inside, it makes sense to keep Harvey out there. And then, like, if they were to go bunch scenario on one side, I imagine he's going to be the guy isolated on one side of the field to, just keep them honest. And you want him to have one-on-ones. So, yeah, I would say he's going to be the X or whatever letters they decide to use. And it allows Boogie to be the guy that they move around, I think. I think Amari Thomas would be better to keep inside if you have to keep somebody inside. That's not how football works necessarily anymore, but it gives the Makai Muses and the Martin Thomases and Boogies the chance to play in different spots based on the matchups they want to create. So, yeah, he's going to be, I think, the X.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I loved the different things they tried with Stephon Johnson in the BYU game. Like, put him in different spots and showcase that talent. You really didn't do that all year.
No.
You didn't really showcase anybody's skill set at receiver, but you certainly did not do that. Is the coaching staff looking to add linebackers and defensive linemen? Yes. We had the offensive coordinator on, so we talked about offensive players.
I think we've got a defensive lineman or two supposed to visit the next few days, I believe.
You're gonna see. You just hired officially a defensive coordinator yesterday.
Yeah.
So give that time. That'll work itself out. I mean, they accomplished quite a bit in 10 days after hiring an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So let's see where that goes. You have Corey Platt coming back at linebacker. That's a huge addition. And so, you think you're losing Jamal Morris and Michael Batten, true, but you're bringing in Corey Platt, who was, I think, the first guy to decide to come here with Willie from Tulane.
That sounds right.
That kid can play.
Yeah.
So
you guys are welcome, by the way. I hosted him too, so you're welcome for that.
You're welcome.
I didn't even know I needed to thank you, but all right. Eddie Nunez on schedule. Not sure what this means, but we've had him twice. He's only been employed for like 3 months, and we've had him on twice. We've only done this show. This is our 10th time to do it, which I feel like we've been doing it for 2 years, but we've only done it 10 times because we kind of, go a couple weeks without doing it when I'm traveling a little.
Well, we usually do it whenever we have guests, and you're not flying somewhere.
Yeah. I'm thinking about doing it next week. The problem is it's Festivus. And, is that holiday going to take away from doing this show? I think complaining about people could be a winner for us. Yeah.
True. But that would be just every podcast from last year.
Yeah, that's true. Is your name Roy?
It is now.
Yeah.
One of the sickos. Look at this. You think I'm bad? Look at this. It's dinner with sardines, oatmeal cookies, nacho cheese Doritos.
Oatmeal cookies are awesome. If you get the frosted ones, those are one of my favorite desserts.
Hey, oatmeal cookies they don't even need frosting, but I'll take it.
Oatmeal cream pie, oatmeal cookie. I need it with the frosting. I just what I need. But nacho cheese Doritos, salty crackers. How many different kinds of? Okay, and 2 Hershey's bars with it.
If you didn't include beer, if you didn't include beer, I'd just think you're pregnant.
Yeah. Hopefully, you're not with family. Hopefully, that'd be kind of weird.
That hurts my stomach just thinking about it.
No, it doesn't. So, Eddie Nunez and I talked on the field at BYU, and I asked him about this, about corporate investments, about the multimedia rights that he's been talking about. And he says they've come a long way, and they're going to announce some things soon. probably after the start of the year is my guess. They have some deals in place where a corporate sponsor will sponsor the school, but there's also an NIL component where they will sponsor players individually or as groups. And so that's interesting. I want to see what that looks like, what those companies are. Is it bigger companies? Is it local things? But he told me that, and I feel like I can talk about it because we didn't really get into specific companies. But that's a different idea that we have not seen here. You've seen it at some schools, but not a ton.
I think didn't he incorporate some of that at UNM?
Like I'm not 100% sure.
I think he talked about one of the deals that they did right before he left that would include a NIL component along with a department component.
I really didn't listen while I was talking, so could have been.
Here we go. We got a long time, first time. Is there consensus on whether our offensive woes were Barbie or lack of talent?
I think the talent wasn't great collectively, and it was not utilized well. I don't know who you put more blame on. Is it 50-50? Is it close? But I just don't think the group of players was great. I think the buy-in wasn't what you needed it to be. And then, the decisions you made were oftentimes really bad. And so you've seen some of that talent leave. You've seen you saw Barbie leave. So we'll have to see. Willie is not afraid to cut guys loose, meaning coaches, who don't perform. He's got a track record of that. If it doesn't work out, you're gone. And he had to go and fight to push Barbie out and bring a new guy in. And he did. And so we'll see how it goes. Brad, thoughts? Martin, thoughts? Okay. Brad?
No, it was all of the above. And I think Jayden showed a little bit more light to that there was, it was really top to bottom. We know that the talent wasn't there. That was blatantly obvious. We know that the decision making was poor. So we'll see.
Yeah. Jerry says so. Barbie, then thanks. I don't think that's true. I think I'm not calling out one guy, but that offense as a collective was bad.
Yeah.
And you could not, when you needed a block, you didn't get it. You didn't get it on the outside. You didn't get it from the line. You didn't get it from running backs. You didn't get it from running backs in the passing game. And so if receivers were running bad routes, quarterbacks both were throwing to the wrong spots. And, there were times where running backs, you would run to a hole, the hole wasn't there, and instead of trying to create something, you just run to right where you're supposed to run. And at some point, you just figure out that's a lack of talent, whether it's your eyes or your body, your vision. It wasn't great. And, they're going to figure that out. You've seen receivers, linemen, running backs. No running backs? Yeah, a running back into the portal. And so, you just got to continue improving your collective talent and get the right guys on the field and put them in the right positions and expect them to execute.
As bad as the offense was this year, the last 5 games of the year before, they looked exactly the same.
Very much.
And that's with the star receiver from the University of Texas now.
For a couple of them, yeah. Starting, I think it was, you had one good quarter against Texas on offense, and then you got shut out with Kansas State. You scored 2 touchdowns in regulation with Baylor, and then you just disappeared. Yeah. And then never showed up this year. Buck stops with Barbet. Well, not anymore. He's out. This is the perfect forum for the airing of grievances. Brad versus Ryan for the feats of strength.
We
I
could
think
probably
I have an outside shot on this one. I could
don't
just
know.
wear you out very quickly.
You better be a lot quicker.
put a-
Remember, I got long arms. I got reach. So if I get a hold of you, it's over.
Yeah, well, you've never seen somebody tap out so fast. And a Houston versus everybody Festivus poll. I'd be in for that.
That would be funny.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up. I think that was a pretty good show. You know, could have been better. I thought Slade Nagle was fantastic. I thought Jayden really shed some light on some things. We're gonna keep talking with him. He's uncomfortable sometimes in this sort of format, but I think we can find something that works for him because I think he's a really knowledgeable guy, and I just like him. And then the third guy was fine. Yeah.
We can always do
The
better.
recruiting and transfer portal expert
True.
on U of H. Martin, you've really got information, and I appreciate that. We like to do things that nobody else does. And we kind of stumbled into you, and we are glad we did because you've got this ability and this time to do this, and I really do appreciate it. And Brad, I guess you earned your pay, so congrats. We'll get you paid.
I want to get. Does that mean? Sorry, I apologize to everybody for me constantly clearing my throat, going full Dana on y'all.
Dana is what you are. You've done it all night.
When I went outside today, my truck was 86 degrees. I'm like, what the hell happened? I thought it was supposed to be winter.
Ended.
So, of course,
Good
my
week.
allergies have gone absolutely nuts.
Yeah. Final thoughts, Brad?
See, Max said it was an elite show. So
Thank you, Mac.
Max got good taste. I mean, I know that. I know that's true. Final
Also
thoughts.
a transfer portal guy.
Final thoughts. This we got something going here. We've got some momentum, and we're doing it. It's not like we're having to pay massive on an NIL front because we just don't have the money to do it. But they're doing a good job of identifying very specific needs. So we sit back and we look at, do you want to see the coaches are addressing the things that we all know that are a problem, and they're going right after it. And they were priority one. You get a quarterback in, and immediately you address one problem there. And then so after the quarterback, everything else follows that. And then immediately after that, all of a sudden we've got a handful of offensive linemen. So you completely revamp that area. We've got a couple of pass catchers, which is going to be huge. So all of a sudden we go from having the worst offense in the history of football and to something that looks like it could be pretty damn dangerous. So you have to be pretty
Easy.
excited. Do what?
You
I'm not
scored
saying I'm talking about
14
something that
points
could
a game.
be dangerous. I'm talking
Does
about
that mean 17
let's
a game?
can we get back to the 28? Our magic number is 28. So if we can get to 28, it's 28 still sucks, but in today's game, it's not that terrible.
Your deal is if you hold a team to 28, you win about 90% of your games.
Well, we got to be able to score 28.
But you do have to. Turns out that's
help
the
that.
issue. Yeah.
We got to get at least 29.
28.5 is what you need, Brad. 28.5.
20.1, 28.1.
Martin.
Yeah, I mean, just echoing things. I think the efforts to address specific needs. Brad said that. I'm sure you guys talked about it before I was on. And these are quality players, at least by my estimation. They're going to be competing for starting positions. I didn't mention Amari Thomas personally, but he is a very good football player, very dynamic. Kind of reminds me of what Boogie can do. It's not necessarily redundancy, but it's just a good thing to have guys that can get open in the middle of the field and make something happen after the catch. Over 60% of his yards were after the catch, so that's exciting to have that coming in. But offensive linemen, generally athletic dudes, very long, so wouldn't be surprised to see some screens if some guys get some opportunities in open space. Just more fun than last year. If nothing else, I think it's just going to be a more fun year on offense. Is it going to result in 8 wins? Is it going to result in a bowl game? I don't know, because they also have to decide who's actually going to play where. But before these additions, I wasn't so certain it wasn't going to be another 4-win season with guys they lost and questions at who they were going to hire. But a bowl game, not getting too far ahead of myself, I don't think it's a dumb conversation to have.
No, but
with title game, son.
Especially with Jeremiah Wilson returning and the additions on the defensive side, which we'll talk at some point when we actually have a defensive coach on. But
can we stop right there? Jeremiah Wilson deciding to pull himself out of the portal is going to be one of your biggest defensive wins, no matter what happens.
I mean, go ahead and call that an addition, because him coming back. I mean, that's 100%. That's half the field taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, having him return, you have McCutcheon return. I mean, overall, the DB room, safeties, corners, was probably one of your stronger because of who you had returning, right? AJ Halsey. So then adding players to that who are long.
And we can't have the coaches can't talk about it, but Jordan Allen from LSU coming in.
Yeah, that's big. Did we lose Martin?
He looks like it. It's probably
I just he got probably a text, got LMAO.
It could be drone related. I don't know, guys.
You have to figure that it's drone related.
Probably, but drones aren't going to last here that long. Not in Texas.
You think they're going to be shot out of the sky?
Yeah.
I don't know about all this bowl talk. I mean, it's just impossible for me to figure out what you are, and it's a long way away. But you have a schedule finally that sets up for you to build. You start with SFA, you get Rice in the second game. That is how you start to build, and you start getting reps to guys that are going to play. You had UNLV to start last year, but you went to OU in the second game. And in previous years, it's just you haven't had an FCS team, and everybody else in the country is playing an FCS team. U of H has not had that opportunity. That is not just a padded win. That's an opportunity to get guys on the field and get experience.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Martin. Not a drone victim.
No.
Glad you're back.
I don't know. I don't trust you. I don't trust anybody denying the existence of drones.
Here's Brad, who's not left the house in 6 months.
I have. I left it today.
Okay.
All right. I nearly died of heat stroke.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, 86 degrees will do it.
Woo!
When you're this fat.
Yeah. I have not made any of those type of comments tonight.
I had to go ahead and throw it for you.
Yeah. Been a good boy. All right, that's it for us. We have a full week of stuff. You have 2 basketball games this week, Wednesday and Saturday, And that's basically it. Well, it is it until conference play. And
It'll
you're
be,
going to have a ton
should be a
of
fun
football. I think we'll get to meet Austin Armstrong this week. I think is that his name? I think that's his name.
Sounds right.
Yeah, why not? And so, things are moving. You're getting more commits. See when they get through compliance and signed with their financial aid agreements. But it's moving forward. To be decided if it's what you need, but it looks good on paper. And at this point of the year, that's really all you can do. People are excited. We have 700 people watching right now.
Yeah.
Which is nice. You'll get another couple of grand watch it after the fact. So we appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching. Would you subscribe on YouTube? Just go to YouTube, go to GoCoogs, and just
Click
hit
that
the
little
little
bell.
subscribe button. It doesn't really hurt you. It doesn't do anything. It's just get a few watches, maybe. So thank you so much for watching. Brad, Martin, appreciate it. Slade Nagle, appreciate it. South Louisiana kid. And Jayden York. So thank you so much, everybody. Star Pizza, get it while it's hot. Star Pizza.